stories of great Christians. From the radio studios of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, we bring you Chapter 2 of The Gospel Singer, the story of Ira Sankey.
I met DL Moody for the first time in the year 1870 in Indianapolis, where we both attended a YMCA convention. We'd hardly met when he asked me to join him in Chicago to be a soloist and song leader at his meetings. I was impressed with his preaching and amazed at his audacity. I returned to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, where I worked as a tax collector for the government and discussed the invitation with my wife and my pastor. After a delay of 6 months, I finally agreed to a visit, but for only a week. Mr. Moody had become quite insistent within the past several weeks that I pay him a visit. But being insistent was part of his nature. We were quite different, Mr. Moody and I, in several ways. I had the better education, and I think I handled the English language more correctly. Yet we were nearly the same age. I was 30 and Mr. Moody was 33. Strange I kept calling him Mr. Moody. But it was the recognition of authority. He was the captain of his ship. He reminded me of a captain I had known in the Army. 9 years later, I still remembered those Civil War days all too well. I had joined the Union forces at the outset of hostilities and had served for 2 years. Miraculously, I had spent most of my time singing, leading a choir, singing solos, surprising many Southern families in Maryland. Union soldiers could be both gentlemen and musicians. I suppose if I really had the choice of doing anything in life, I'd choose to be a full-time musician, preferably singing the glad tidings. The YMCA was a great place in those days to sing and learn new songs. Philip Bliss and Philip Phillips were soloists I had heard and who in a way had become my ideals. Perhaps, just perhaps, Mr. Moody did have some intuitive sense of what I should be doing. If only he'd offered me a salary. One couldn't support a wife and 2 children on enthusiasm.
Next stop, Chicago.
Mr. Moody did not meet me at the depot, but I had his address, so I proceeded to his home on the north side of the river. It was my first visit to Chicago, and it seemed to me that this city had grown too quickly. There were a few brick or stone structures here and there, but mostly Chicago seemed to have a temporary look. In fact, as I think back over the years, my most vivid memory of Chicago is a smell. The odor of pine, of lumber, freshly cut and hewn.
Smell that pine tar, mister? We ain't had much rain.
Don't they ever paint the buildings?
Build them too fast. No time for painting. Where are you from, mister?
Newcastle.
Pennsylvania?
Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, this town's probably got more bustle to it than Newcastle.
I think you're right.
Well, here you are.
Mr. Sankey, welcome.
Mom, I can't find my
Okay, quiet, children. Sorry I couldn't meet you at the depot. I had to rush off to the hospital to visit a friend. You're just in time for our family devotions. You can lead us in a song or two. Emma, children, this is Mr. Sankey.
Well, it seems you're to see our city sooner than you may have expected, Mr. Sankey.
Well, your husband has given me 5 minutes to get ready.
He has more visits to make. He'll be going directly to their homes, not to the hospital this time.
I shall enjoy it.
Some of the homes may not be that pleasant, sir. There's a lot of poverty in this big city. Mr. Moody tells me you're married.
That's right.
What is your wife's name, Mr. Sankey?
Fanny. She was Fanny Edwards. Her father was a senator.
Indeed.
Fanny and I have been married for 7 years. We have 2 children, 2 boys.
The same as we. Oh, I'm so looking forward to meeting Mrs. Sankey. Well, whatever your decision, Mr. Sankey, I do expect you to bring your wife to see Chicago.
Yes, I think she'd like that.
Mr. Sankey, I want to assure you that my husband is delighted that you've come to visit him. You might not think so. He didn't meet your train. He's putting you to work almost at once. But that's his way. He's so very busy and preoccupied. He gives the appearance of being abrupt. But he's really a very tender-hearted man. He has talked about very little except your coming and the possibility of your working with him.
Sankey, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Moody.
I think you'll have an extraordinary day. We're delighted that you're here, sir.
It was an extraordinary day. We visited a dozen homes. In the first home we visited, we found a sick mother who had a large family.
I'm going to read a few words from the Bible. But first I want my friend Mr. Sankey to sing a little hymn for you.
I sang a song called Scatter Seeds of Kindness. The first song I sang for Mr. Moody at his request in Chicago. 28 years later, I would sing that song again in Brooklyn, New York, at the last meeting Mr. Moody and I shared. But I'm getting far ahead of my story. And the rest of the week, at night, meetings at the Illinois Street Church, which Mr. Moody had founded. At noon, prayer meetings for businessmen in the heart of the city. And then, that weekend, a mass meeting in the giant Farwell Hall.
Mr. Sankey, I'm preaching tonight on the prodigal son. I remember something you sang in Indianapolis on that theme.
Come here, O prodigal child.
That's it. Sing it tonight.
But I can't.
You've a great memory. Surely you remember it.
That's not the reason.
Do you have the music?
Oh, yes, I happen to have the music.
Well?
I normally accompany myself, sir. I don't see a harmonium.
You see that huge contraption up there?
That's a pipe organ, Mr. Moody.
And it cost $3,000 of Merchant Farwell's money. Why, isn't that organ good enough for you?
That's a far better instrument than I am accustomed to. And if I played it, my back would be to the audience. I can't sing that way.
The organ comes with an organist.
Sir?
There is an organist, a German chap hired by the hall. Just give him the music and tell him how you want it played.
Well, that does put a different light on things.
Otto, come here a moment, will you?
Yeah. Mr. Moody, what can I do for you, sir?
Mr. Sankey will tell you what you can do. Excuse me for now. The service begins in 5 minutes. I want you to sing after the message.
You have the music, sir.
Just a moment. I keep a kind of scrapbook of songs, you see.
So, you are Mr. Sankey.
Yes, sir. Here's my music.
I check it over later. It's a nice warm night. I think first, maybe I'd take a short snooze.
Otto, we missed you.
Yeah, Mr. Moody, I'm very sorry.
We'll have a talk about it tomorrow. Go on, I'll lock up. Go on home and rest.
I'm not tired now, sir.
I dare say.
Good night, Mr. Moody. Mr. Sankey. Good night.
Otto, as I said, he comes with the pipe organ. Let's close up. Thank you for your solo, Mr. Sankey. You can sing for me anytime, with or without accompaniment. Do you see now why I believe God has called us to work together?
I haven't made a decision, sir.
I know, but you will, Mr. Sankey.
I'm leaving in the morning.
Yes, so we'd better get you home so you'll get a good night's sleep. I'm glad you came to visit us, Mr. Sankey.
Well, it's been a grand week.
You've helped me so much. Your singing has touched hearts.
Thank you.
You should come to Chicago. Give up your job. Launch out.
You never give up, do you?
It's the king's business, Mr. Sankey.
I must talk things over very carefully with my wife. I promise you an answer within the week.
Very well. Godspeed, Mr. Sankey.
There was much to ponder on my way back to western Pennsylvania. I paid little notice to the passing fields of Indiana and Ohio. I opened my heart and myself to my Lord. I wanted to serve Him. I thought I'd been serving him since I had accepted Christ as my personal Savior when I was still in my teens. But this was different.
Love never looks to see what it is going to get in return. I've generally found that those workers who are all the time looking to see how much they are going to get from the Lord are never satisfied. But love does its work and makes no bargain.
Snatches of things I'd heard Mr. Moody say in the pulpit and in private conversation poured into my mind with a repetitious clickety-clack of the wheels on the rails.
We may never be great. We may never be known outside our circle of friends. But we may, like Mary, do what we can.
This was a call to the unknown, to a ministry for which I was not necessarily prepared.
There are but few now that say, "Here am I, Lord, send me." The cry now is, send someone else. Send the minister, send the church officers, the church wardens, the elders, but not me. I have not got the ability, the gifts, or the talents. Oh, honestly say you have not got the heart. For if the heart is loyal, God can use you. It is really all a matter of heart. It does not take God a great while to qualify a man for his work if he only has the heart for it.
Oh, how much my wife and I would have to discuss.
Ira, I think you should go.
Fanny, I never expected you to say that.
What did you expect?
Well, that you would urge me to stay where we have our home.
And friends.
Yes, and a good, secure, steady job.
That is what really worries you, isn't it? Losing a regular salary.
I suppose so. And yet the Lord said we should take no thought for what we should eat or wear. That's hard on a man who wants to support his family.
Ira, the Lord will provide. I truly believe that.
Why is it that everyone wants me to leave Newcastle? Father says it, so does the pastor, and you.
From what you've told me about Mr. Moody, I think you're convinced, too. You're just afraid of how I'll take it. Now, Ira, I think you wouldn't want to miss the chance of working with Mr. Moody for anything. And it's all right with me and the children.
You're absolutely sure?
Yes, Ira.
Very well. Have a look at what I intend to mail today.
It's addressed to Mr. Hugh McCullough, the Secretary of the Treasury.
It's my resignation, Fanny, from government service.
And you had it written all this time in your pocket and ready to mail. Oh, Ira.
It was just a contingency, my dear.
And as another contingency, have you already contacted Mr. Moody?
No, but I'm going to send him a telegram.
That will surprise him.
No, Fanny, it won't surprise Mr. Moody one whit. It's what he's been expecting ever since we met. I had made my decision. I decided to join Mr. Moody in Chicago on faith that the Lord would provide for my needs and the needs of my family. Fanny, my wife, thought it best that I proceed to Chicago alone, look for a suitable place to live, and then bring her and the children. Meanwhile, we would seek to sell our home in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Mr. Moody and I began our work together in the early part of 1871. It was a ministry that would continue for nearly 30 years.
And so we conclude Chapter 2 of The Gospel Singer, the story of Ira D. Sankey. This is another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, produced by the Department of Broadcasting of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.